I'm Haley.
I'm John.
And I'm Will.
And we're from Crimson Comet, a podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual host.
Check out other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. And get ready, because geekiness begins in
3,
2,
1.
Welcome to the official GonnaGeek.com podcast, where a bunch of geeks talk about geeky things. Take a bit of sci-fi, add a dash of comics, mix it in with a pinch of gaming, and let bake for 30 to 45 minutes in a heated argument over tech, and you have yourself a show. We want to hear from you, so reach out to us at GonnaGeek.com. Now, let me introduce you to the host for this ride. I'm Steven Jondrew.
Thanks. Way to come late to the party on that one there, Mr. Hawking.
Joining me, Jean-Sebastian.
I'm gonna plug you with just the tip, buddy.
Chris Farrell.
They sort of look like zombie ninja mutant thingies.
John D.
He's gonna extract your Disneys.
And regularly featuring Stargate Pioneer.
I don't want to hear this anymore.
All right, let's geek. Hello and welcome to episode 95 of the GonnaGeek.com podcast. We are here tonight with a bit of a shake-up in the crew. Woo! We are missing Chris Farrell. Apparently baseball takes priority to SP's balls.
Yeah, you know, every once in a while, you ask another guy to start shaving you, and he just runs away to some baseball park. I just don't understand it.
But you heard there, JS is here with us tonight, the French-Canadian sensation. What's going on, JS?
Not much, you guys?
Not much, except there is a lot. Why? Because we have the one, the only, Nellyisntwitty here tonight. What's going on, Nelly?
Hey, guys. Nothing. Great to be on the cast. This is exciting. First time on the Gonna Geek Papa-cast.
Well, welcome, and thank you for completely tolerating me calling you Nellyisntwitty like a year and a half ago. My apologies.
Every time you say Nelly, I think a Little House on the Prairie.
I think I'm a rapper for a second whenever you say that, and then I link that up with Chris For Real Forever last week, and I was like, man, we got our own boy band.
I like to prefer to think that it's like the 1994 Jodie Foster film Nell. That's what I like to think.
Every time you say Nelly, I think of Nelly Furtado.
Which she's from my stomping grounds. What? Say what? Yeah, she is. That and Steve Nash. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, guess what, folks? We have a bit of a somewhat serious, a little sad, heartbreaking news to talk about here tonight.
Aww.
I know. So sad. Oh, wait, you want me to tell what that is, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be a bunch of different things. I didn't know what I was awing about.
Well, John has found himself to be quite busy between Geekation, between having a life, between Legends and all that. So, unfortunately, he has had to step down from the full-time seat on the GonnaGeek.com podcast. John, so sad.
Oh, one less Frenchman.
I know. But I guess that's the good news for anybody who doesn't like Quebec.
Or anybody that actually likes H's.
Oh. Wow. But John assures us that he will pop in from time to time, and we will be happy to have him. And so you will get that chance to comment on his lack of H's, Neil.
You know, I think that was what we focused on the last two Legends casts. Even though I think it was on Avengers and then Avengers Age of Ultron, all I remember is a lack of H's for like 3 hours straight.
But John, we appreciate all the time served. That's right. It was a punishment to be on the podcast. We know that. We recognize that.
It definitely is. When do I get my reprieve?
Well, I think you had a sentence of like, what, 5 years, 10 years? But before we do get into the news, I just want to go and remind all of you listeners that we can be found through a variety of methods. We're available in iTunes, Mixcloud, Stitcher, and of course, now you can even find us on YouTube. You can always communicate with us at Gonna Geek on Twitter or at facebook.com/GonnaGeek.
Or better yet, yell at us on the forums at forums.gonnageek.com. And when all else fails, go to gonnageek.com/live every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 p.m. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it at Pacific time because there's 2 Pacific coasters here tonight. Say what?
Wow. No, you know what? It's still light out and we're podcasting. Yeah.
No, it's dark out here. It's dark
Yeah,
out here.
I know. But no, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We encourage you to come over and yell at us live, and we can even interact and read your hate mail directly.
Wow, I'm no longer a Stephen Wandrew bump version.
Stephen Wandrew.
You are not a Stephen Wandrew bump version.
It's kind of creepy.
It is. Welcome to like 4 years of my life.
Exactly. And you know what else was 4 years of JS's life?
What's
Neil,
that?
why don't you go ahead and start us off with the first news point?
Oh, this is part of my life.
AOL, for all of those that grew up with the AOL Messenger, You've Got Mail, AOL buying Netscape when it was, one of the only browsers out there for anyone. Yeah, it's a blast from the past. And then, oh my God, new media is taking over old media when AOL bought Time Warner. My God, what's going on? Cats and dogs living together. Today we say goodbye to AOL once the acquisition goes through. Verizon ponying up $4.4 billion to buy AOL. So AOL Messenger, AOL News, AOL Music. I don't know who uses that. I don't know why we're not streaming there, actually.
Let's see, $4.4 billion for AOL or $4.4 billion for Star Wars. I wonder who won that little spending spree.
I don't know, man. I don't know. AOL still gets a lot of stuff. I don't know. I do agree in the long run, Star Wars is going to be better. But we don't know the whole Star Wars deal either.
No, and don't think of it as AOL. Like when I first read this, and Stephen, kudos to you for throwing this at the rest of us, I thought, oh my God, like who the hell uses Messenger anymore? And then I kept reading, I'm like, oh, but
There's
AOL means
people.
Well, and it also means Huffington Post, TechCrunch, Engadget, MoviePhone, MapQuest. It means advertising revenue. That's all this deal means.
MapQuest is still around. Wow, that I was not aware.
Yeah,
that surprises me a lot.
I've actually used it recently.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was just we were thinking about taking a vacation somewhere, and I was like, hey, I wonder where exactly this place is. So I started to map it out on MapQuest.
I just use Google Maps.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I was at my computer.
But
so
I use Google.
You can use Google Maps on your computer. Map.google.com.
Yeah.
I know. It was just a reflex from 10 years ago or something.
Men of a certain age, my friend.
No, that's totally the case. So I remember like the first time it was like, oh my God, MapQuest. We were going on a camping trip somewhere, and it was like you're used to having the 6 different maps covering you from here to like one province away. And it was like, you can put in the address where you want to go. I don't know if I trust these directions. We better bring the 8 maps. Oh,
man.
MapQuest.
Yeah.
The good old days of MapQuest.
A lot of people are making a big deal of this acquisition and saying, well, $4.4 billion, it's a huge amount of money. But I think what people are forgetting is how big Verizon actually is now. Verizon
and the question is, are they really giving $4.4 billion, or actually are they giving something else?
They are actually giving $4.4 billion in cash. I thought it might be a stock-based transaction.
Yeah.
So Verizon's worth over $200 billion now. So really, if you just add on little AOL, which was actually acquired for a premium at $4.4 billion, it's only about 2% of the total size of Verizon. So Yeah, it sounds like a huge amount, but to the folks over at Verizon, it's not huge. And, in the last 3 or 4 months, Verizon actually paid $9 billion to buy new wireless spectrum, and they actually spent about $5 billion to buy back some of their own shares to bump up their share price. So, yeah, they've spent a lot more than that recently. To the folks at Verizon, they're probably going, meh.
So but basically what we're about to see is a bunch of Verizon specific handsets being reviewed on Engadget now. Is that correct?
And TechCrunch, yeah. And then positive news about the reviews over on Huffington Post.
Exactly, obviously, right?
What is Verizon's biggest physical holding? Is it their actual network, like the physical towers?
Do they actually own the towers?
I don't know.
How does that work in the States?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a separate company, but for Verizon, it might be a sub-company. I don't know.
I just thought of something. MapQuest is now going to direct you along paths that take you right by a Verizon store, no matter where you go.
Or use Verizon towers.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering if over at Engadget and Engadget Mobile and stuff, any Verizon haters are going to have their comments deleted in the comment section.
Yeah. You know, though, what I have read on some of these tech sites, Engadget, for example, I've read a lot of complaint things before about the mobile facial recognition and facial recognition software in general, right? Guess what? There is now something that is actually a good use of facial recognition. Now, before I tell you about that, I will tell you my lovely facial recognition experience myself. Once I ended up getting Android L, I'm like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and put the facial recognition thing on here so I don't have to unlock all the time. And I'm like, I wonder how good this is. So then I'm like, Krista, give me your phone. Chris is my wife. And then I pull up a picture that she's got of me and I hold it up to my phone and my phone unlocks. It was awesome.
Yeah, but you can do that. That's a trick that a lot of people have used on many. You can do that on most facial recognition devices.
Yeah.
That's why new facial recognition software, the high-ender one, you have to move or something. There's some other, I don't remember, I don't recall it right now, but there's an extra added value.
Yeah, there is.
But I mean, it's like any security in the world. Somebody's going to figure out an easy way to crack it.
There is. But my news, though, about the good facial recognition device is not really a security thing. If you want to trick a blind person, then yes, you could probably use the same method. However, why would you want to do that? What it is somebody has developed a high-tech cane for the blind, which essentially will tie in. It has a camera, and it ties into a Bluetooth earpiece, and it's known as Explore. And what it does is it's constantly searching around for people that you know. So there is a database on there that you will, of course, load with your friends and whatnot. And if the cane sees somebody that you know, it will tell you about it. So
that's cool.
I thought that was really cool and a really good use of it. You know, you would hope that the person, your friend, would not just keep walking past you, that they would say hello. But, you know, now you can sure get them and not allow them to do that.
Well, if you're pointing a cane at somebody, odds are you're going to have to walk around the cane.
No, I just think it's such a great idea because it helps people. It helps the blind see more than they would be able to, or know more. You know what I'm trying to say. I can't say.
Is this going to evolve into a whole new generation of daredevils?
Perhaps. All right, SP, what do you got before JS and Neil unite to derail the rest of the podcast?
All right, so get ready to drink. I'm a rocket scientist. We're going to have some rocket science news, dang it. And this hit the intertubes really fervently a couple of days ago. And it was from NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration of the United States. And apparently have NASA.
Oh, okay.
What have they done before? Like, what are their credentials?
Oh, they're an offshoot of NBC, right?
Boom, boom, boom.
They use directors, right? I think Stanley Kubrick was often used by them.
Right. Yes, you are correct. You're absolutely correct.
Don't they do all the wiretapping in the States?
So they had been doing a little bit of an experiment in Johnson Space Center in Houston. Does
he have a big Johnson?
It's huge, man. It's the biggest one on the planet. So it's called Saturn V. So they were doing a little experiment on a prototype engine which supposedly produces thrust without actually throwing any propellant away. I mean, there are some quasi-plasma-based rocket drives that work in space, but they still throw ions off. This was supposedly just on its own, basically a warp drive or a prototype warp drive. And so they got the thing to work in a vacuum, and it was published in this little known blog a few months back. Well, finally somebody put the pieces together. It said, oh, it's a warp drive. It's a warp drive. And NASA's like, no, we're not doing research into a warp drive. But they did rule out the possibility that it was pushing against the Earth's atmosphere by testing it in a vacuum. In what they still are scratching their heads over on is whether it's interacting with the Earth's electromagnetic field or some sort of local electromagnetic leaks or something like that. So they still don't know if the dang thing works or not, but they're ruling out different things as they go. But hey, I think it's pretty cool that they're even wasting time, I guess, even discovering if this works or not. It means that they're pushing the edge and they're looking at different cool things that will work to propel us into the vastness of outer space.
Well, I like that. And, you know, it's one of those things that there seems to be two real factors out there. There's the people who are like, look, we haven't been to the moon and why wouldn't we go back and why wouldn't we do some more stuff now that we got better technology and stuff and look at all this stuff right around Earth, what we can do. And then you got the people who are like me and are like, let's go out. I don't care. Don't go too far, but let's check out some of that stuff. Let's go over there. But you can't because you are a human and you kind of need to live and eat and you can't really go through the journey. So stuff like this, I also like the stasis research that they've been doing. I think that they've been looking into sort of bear hibernation and things like that. All of this is really cool to me, and I support it 110%. NASA, you have my seal of approval.
The buzzer. So just to be clear, the novel thruster system idea that they're looking at is called the M drive. And quote unquote, the reason it's controversial is it violates Newton's third law. So there you go.
Some guy who randomly made up a law. Okay, cool.
Does it actually violate or does it just abuse it?
A total violation. Total. Because you're which
law was it?
It's the one. Is that the drive that makes kind of like creates gravity to push it like a wave?
It basically it's like using your microwave to rocket you across the universe.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is really neat. I like that.
You know, it's really cool that they're actually getting something to do that, you know, I think Newton's laws, now correct me if I'm wrong, SP, I'm not a rocket scientist, but these have been around for a while now since that Newton guy postulated them, and they're more than a theory. So how can it violate Newton's third law? Does that mean we have to rename it, you know, Newton's third theory?
You know, it's kind of funny. As on the treadmill tonight, I was watching a Through the Wormhole, which is show. It's great with Morgan Freeman. And one thing at the end of the episode that I was watching, it basically said, scientists will always be wrong. Mankind will always be wrong. We'll always be discovering new things. So, you know, sooner or later, we'll find out that these quote unquote laws that we have, some of them aren't true because we've then observed other phenomena that make it not true, like quantum entanglement or whatever. So
I have a very good understanding of quantum entanglement thanks to the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. How do you like that?
That was a well-placed plug, sir.
All right, Neil, why don't you take us over to your news? Go ahead.
Well, my news goes back to a few days, back to last Friday, when, you know, I think we can all agree there was blood in the water upfronts for all the major networks started over the weekend and through this week. So Friday, right before they start announcing what's new and what everybody should be excited about in the fall and in the summer, were all the cancellations. A sad day for a lot of genre fans out there, especially if you happen to be a Constantine fan or fans of other shows, like Grace Point for all the Whovians out there that were following what could have been their favorite Doctor.
Okay. Grace, I'm going to interrupt here. Grace Point was filmed here, and that I was like watching it because of that, and I ended up eventually getting into the storyline, but it was like the first 3 quarters was like, I'll see what I see from town. Like that was the only reason I was watching it.
You and me too. I couldn't do it. 4 episodes in, I was like, oh, I don't care about any of these people.
Yeah, it was rough.
And SP, I think you've mentioned that Forever was getting really strong ratings, I think on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast. But Forever got canceled by ABC as well. So fans of Mr. Fantastic out there.
It was a good show.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable. I watched it. I enjoyed it. It was getting a bit repetitive, but it was good.
The Following was canceled as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who saw that coming?
No.
Strain got super renewed though.
To be clear, Forever had really strong live plus 7 day ratings. It didn't have strong overall ratings. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't do tremendously great. They're doing between 4 and 5 million an episode, which isn't great, but then they get close to 70 or 75% live plus 7 day ratings. And because it's intertwined with the mouse, with Marvel Cinematic Universe and Disney and ABC, it's going to be a staple. 4 or 5 million is enough to keep that show on TV, and they're hoping it gets better. They are hoping it gets more ratings, but I don't know. And I think that's one of the reasons why the spinoff was canceled, is they just said, we can't invest any more money in this area and expect to get return on investment. The MCU is doing great. We have to keep these secondary and tertiary things going on, like on ABC, like on Netflix, which was phenomenal. I think their big bucks are going to be on Netflix, by the way, as far as TV content or serial content. But ABC's going to have a show because it's Marvel and Disney and ABC.
But, JS's favorite show was canceled, American Idol.
What? American Idol was canceled?
It was.
Yes, it was.
It was. Effective last year. Next year will be the last year.
How does that make sense?
Because it's American Idol, and they spend a fortune because of all of the talent that they bring in. I'm sure Seacrest alone cost them an arm and a leg, let alone bringing in actual music stars.
Yeah, and holding auditions all across the U.S. with massive facilities, and it's apparently the most expensive of the reality shows out there.
Wow.
That is so surprising.
Not really, if you've been at all following it in the last 4 years.
I haven't followed it at all, but it's just, I would have thought it was huge.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where it was every nation, every language, different spoken language has made their own version of this show.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, now it frees it up Ryan Seacrest to come host a podcast on the Gonna Geek Network, right?
Maybe he can do a Constantine podcast.
Yes, that's right. I forgot that we were in the works with him on that. Yeah, that's right.
That
you should bring some of those sweet RE27 microphones to the network
with the awesome stands. But I guess we digress. A
little bit.
Let us digress.
And before we move on, I got to throw it out there because I was a pretty big fan of Constantine season 1. I don't think it got. Yeah, it was pretty good and it developed well. The hashtag Save Constantine is still trending out there on the interwebs and on the Twitters. So definitely, if you're a fan of Constantine, get out there. The showrunners are still trying to sell it to a different network.
Yeah, it didn't get purchased by that other network. There was rumors. I don't remember who, but there was rumors that it was going to go online or on a different network.
You mean kind of like Terra Nova and Revolution both were going to get into another network as well?
Terra Nova.
Those shows were horrible.
No, Terra Nova got such a bum rap. That they were setting that up. It was so cool.
I agree. I enjoyed the show.
But
you
you can't set up a show for like a whole season. You gotta do something at
like Star Trek: The Next Generation for 3 seasons. You can't do that.
No,
really.
it's like
but that's like saying the nativity. Like you shouldn't make the first version of the Bible. What's it called?
Okay,
the Old Testament.
JS, I am going to step into territory that I have not stepped into before, and I'm going to probably go to John D level of receiving hate mail. But I am a firm believer that, shall we say, events, maybe not necessarily the specific events, however, things that made Roddenberry not end up being on TNG anymore was a blessing for TNG.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, season one wasn't great, but season 1 was still Star Trek.
It was okay. I really think that the non-Roddenberry, like the non-strong Roddenberry based TNG is far better than the Roddenberry TNG.
All I want to say is let's not compare the first Star Trek: The Next Generation to Terra Nova.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that one. I will give you that one.
Let's be honest to that. Let's not go into the debate of like, was it good? Okay, it's maybe not good. It's maybe good. It's still a classic. Terra Nova's never ever going to even be close to being called a classic.
No, that's true. Very, very true.
But Sequest DSV is a classic. I don't think anybody can argue
amazing.
that.
Did you have you actually watched that lately? By the way,
yeah, it's horrible.
No.
I bought the whole DVD series. It is so bad. It is so bad. But I am never going to watch it again because I'm going to remember when I was a kid and it was good.
Yeah.
Watching it with my dad. I'm not going back there.
I made it to almost the end of season. No. I made it to the start of season 3, like the first episode or two.
When they
of
go on
season
another
3.
planet.
No, it was still Earth.
Oh, did you watch the seasons where they go on another planet? Yeah,
that's the end of season 2.
Oh, so maybe I didn't watch season 3 then.
It was actually called a different show then too.
All right, but JS, what do you have going on relating to TV? I know you had not a cancellation, but a new TV series.
Yeah, so for people who are fans of Constantine, rejoice. There is something that's kind of the same. Well, not exactly, but in the same vein. That got greenlit at Fox, and it's the Lucifer series from Vertigo. The pilot got greenlit to a TV show, a series.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever read that comic book, but it's actually a really good comic book. It kind of looks good.
Huh. I have not read that comic book at all.
It's good. It's Lucifer. The premise is Lucifer quits his job. He stops being I don't want to get into the whole theology of it being correct or not correct or what it really is or not. But in the series, he leaves hell. He doesn't want to be there anymore.
Interesting. No, can't say I'm familiar with that.
It's a good series. You guys should pick it up if you can. I think there's a trade and it's really not expensive.
You know, we also didn't get a chance to talk a lot. I think last week it was announced, but I don't think we got a chance to talk about it, that they scrapped the spin-off of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I think is probably a good thing.
Yeah. But from a selfish perspective, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to have a real hard time covering.
They considered you when they decided to scrap that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, no, we're not going to do this.
But though, on the CW front, though, they did decide to do Legends of Tomorrow. They finally really announced it with the name and everything. So that is, I like that name. I like that name.
And SP, I think you guys over on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. are going to have an issue too, because Lady Sif may not be coming back to the show next season now that she's got a show all her own that got announced in the last couple of days from producer Greg Berlanti from the CW side of things. So she may have a full-time gig, and yeah, that's one more awesome female actress who won't be taking up screen time.
Which show?
Well,
Blind Spot, and it's pretty cool. She's cut her hair down to a bob. She's covered in tats, and apparently it's a procedural. She wakes up naked in Times Square, and each tattoo leads to a crime. So maybe not a great premise, but the promo shots look really good.
Why do I suspect that the mouse can get her on the show if they want her on the show?
yeah. If she wants to come on a show or two, that's fine. But she's probably still going to be in the movies, though.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain she was, because she probably makes.
She probably
more
has
money.
a contract.
Yeah, she probably also makes more money doing one movie than a series as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, Gonna Geek fans, Stargate Pioneer here. Steven's always whining out the podcast about how he thinks he doesn't get to talk about what he wants to talk about. We all know he's full of it, but let's appease him so he doesn't have a meltdown. It's time for Steven's Geeky Steven's Geeky Stuff.
God, watch the language, SP. You're so hard to podcast with.
I know, and you know what? I think that's my best voice work I've ever done.
This week on Steven's Geeky Stuff, it is the JS is Wrong edition.
Woo, that doesn't happen often.
The JS is Wrong edition, also known as the JS is going to tell you why he's right edition. Because I'm sure he's about to argue with me.
That's what I do.
I had a lovely experience yesterday that absolutely needed me to talk about it on the podcast. Picture this. Stephen John Drew is getting out of work. He's had a long, stressful day. He's all excited to get home. So what does he do? He stops and he takes a crap in the bathroom, and then he leaves the bathroom. So as he's walking out of the bathroom, he grabs his phone, and it falls out onto the hard floor. And not only does it fall in once, it bounces 3 times, 2 of which is directly on the face of the phone. Mm-hmm. So I have a moment of no.
It's okay. It was unprotected. It's fine.
It was protected. So I needed to give a shout out to my case. As you listeners may know, I have the Moto X 2014. That's the second edition. And I bought the bamboo version. So what did I do? One of my big case priorities when I bought it was to get a very, 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 very clear case. And so it led me to one case which beautifully showed off the bamboo. And it is called the Casemate Naked Tough case for the Moto X second edition. And it apparently is tough indeed, because this thing really fell hard. Like, I really dropped it at a good speed and it bounced, and I thought my phone was for sure cracked. So I wanted to give a shout out to the case. It is like my phone, no signs of damage on it. Hopefully not anymore now that I've said that, but no, it really is a tough case, and I usually don't pay a lot for cases, but this one here was about $40, and it was quite surprising. So I wanted to say, those listeners listening to JS saying don't put a case on your phone, he is wrong, because this phone would definitely have broken without the case.
I told you guys that months ago.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, though, but I'm still in JS's camp on this one.
Oh, no. Neil is wrong.
I'm not witty and I'm not right.
How many phones have you had to replace, Neil?
And
Because-
listen, because I dropped it. I know that. But that's not a bad track record over since however long we've had phones. And it was just a screen, paid for the screen replacement, which still sucks. Don't get me wrong. But I can't do it. I've tried. I've put cases on. I take them off the next day. I look at my nice, sleek phone. I mean, they keep making phones slimmer and slimmer for a reason. And I can't do it. I've got a graveyard of discarded cases that thought would do it for me.
Yeah. This is where I firmly disagree. Firmly.
Yeah, I definitely do. I get good cases for all my phones. I haven't broken one yet.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Knocking on some serious wood right
I know.
now.
That's what I'm thinking as I do this segment here. JS, what kind of case do you use? Oh, wait, never mind.
I don't use a case.
I know. I expected you to yell at me during the segment, but you didn't. You let me down.
Well, it all comes down to the fact that, you shouldn't just drop your phone.
Here.
Might as well not put insurance on your car. You might as well not crash your car.
Well, the insurance is you have to. It's the law.
Well, then you might as well only put basic on your 2015 brand new vehicle because you might as well just not crash your car.
Because if you're leasing. But that's different. You could insure your phone. You could put an insurance on your phone.
I do. It's called a $35 case.
Wow, there you go. But then it ruins the case. Would you put a huge plastic condom over your car? No.
Probably.
You put a financial tie, or I don't know what the correct term is, but you get insurance for your car, and they give you a new one. Just get insurance for your phone, and then get a new one. A lot of companies do that now, by the way?
Yeah, and it's a lot of money. A lot of money.
Call your insurance company. I'm sure a lot of insurance company have.
I was talking about like the wireless company insurance, that stuff, where they charge you a monthly fee of like $10 or something. That's ridiculous.
As a young boy, when Stephen Johndrew always wanted to be a voiceover artist.
Good night, moon. Good night, stars.
That's why he made The Highlight from the Website, a segment where we read out an entire article from GonnaGeek.com.
No, Chris, that's wrong.
Wait, what do you mean?
Nope, not what we do here.
All right, man, whatever you say. But maybe they shouldn't call you Big Pop anymore. Maybe they should call you Refusal to Read Anything Out Loud because I'm lazy SOB Johndrew.
Okay, fine. Why don't you just do the segment yourself then, Chris?
Here's Steven with the highlight from the website.
This week's highlight from the website comes courtesy of the forums. There are two forums which are particularly hot lately. It is the Arrow forum and the Flash forum. Why is that? Well, because the seasons are wrapping up and everybody is speculating about finales and, of course, also discussing what's in store for next season. So I wanted to go ahead and give a shout out here to the forums because there's been some really, really great talks going on over there about TV shows and lots of theories, lots of conversations. But wait, there's more. If you don't necessarily watch The Flash or Arrow or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Game of Thrones or any of the other random geeky forums that we've got going on there, there is one thread in particular which is bound to give you a bit of laughs. It is called Scott's Silly Customers thread. Now, SB, I know that you have participated in this thread a little bit, so why don't you tell listeners what it's all about?
So this guy does tech calls, right? And just, I'll give you a little snippet of what he has to deal with. He has one regular who has so much problems with his PC. And one of the reasons is he goes to those X-rated sites and unprotected, and he
should put a phone condom on that.
Has to use rubber gloves whenever he's dealing with the PC. So there you go.
I do really encourage listeners to go over and check it out. It is quite funny, and the stories there will make you happy that you are not a service call tech.
That's for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. But I guess it's going to go ahead and drive us towards closure on episode 95 of the 95 of the Geek podcast. Neil, I want to go ahead and thank you very much for coming on here tonight. I know you perhaps shifted your schedule. I'll put it that way so that you don't get in too much trouble. You shifted your schedule to be on tonight, and I appreciate that.
Thanks,
well,
Neil.
hey, I want to say, thank you guys for having me on the show. You know, it's a blast to be able to hang out online with you guys and chat about geeky stuff.
You got anything that you want to plug, like where you're at or anything like that?
No, just hashtag save Constantine. You know, let's try to get that show back on TV because more comic booky goodness is a good thing.
For sure. SP, you got anything you want to toot right now?
Voices of Defiance is coming back soon. The third season premieres on June 12th, so check us out.
Sci-Fi needs to put shows on Netflix, man. I want to watch that show on Netflix.
Netflix it.
It's not. It's not there.
Yeah, they made a deal with Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
sorry, dude.
It's okay. I'll just get Amazon Prime, I guess.
JS, you got anything you want to talk about? Maybe a campaign to shut down Amazon Prime?
No, okay, I'll just get Amazon Prime as long as I can get it in Canada.
You can't.
But can you Canada it? You know what I'm talking about?
You have to buy Amazon Prime US. That's what you have to buy.
So you need a US address.
Yeah, you would probably... We'll talk. And I'm going to go ahead and promote all of the great happenings on GonnaGeek.com. I was updating the About page this weekend on GonnaGeek.com, and I was just looking at the plethora of geeky content that we have on the site. And I just want to say thank you to everybody involved, the writers, the podcasters, the fans, the readers, everybody. It is just, I was looking at it and I was just so happy with everybody involved in that. You know, it just made me a proud big papa. So good job, everybody.
Yay, Big Papa.
Woot.
So, for episode 95 of the GonnaGeek.com podcast, I am blind tossing it to Neil.
I'm Neil, I guess.
I'm definitely Stargate Pioneer.
And I am not John D.
Bye. You've been listening to the official GonnaGeek.com podcast. Got questions, comments, or suggestions for a future show? Email podcast@GonnaGeek.com. Like us at Facebook.com/GonnaGeek or tweet us at GonnaGeek. Make sure you check out all the other amazing geeky podcasts, part of the Gonna Geek Network at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. If you like the show, please write us a 5-star review in iTunes. Most of the music heard is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.